Hey, good morning. This is Michael Nolan. Thank you for joining the Scaling Up podcast. Today, we're going to delve into a critical aspect of business growth, leadership resiliency during a time of crisis. I'd like to welcome Neal Goldenberg today to our podcast. And what we're going to be exploring is Neal's experience and his seasoned leadership as we look at resilience, adaptability, and leadership when he was facing some challenging circumstances.
You're listening to Scaling Up, a podcast for business leaders.
Neal, welcome. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you. It's good to be here, Michael.
Awesome. Hey, one of the things I wanted to just jump straight into, can you share a story with me about a success or a challenge that you had that really jumps into that critical aspect of resiliency during a time of crisis?
Sure. I'd be happy to, just by way of a little bit of background. I'm second generation of a family-owned and operated manufacturing company here in Clifton, New Jersey. Needless to say, just being in manufacturing in New Jersey, which is a very expensive part of a very expensive country, is challenging in itself. It's been a lot of ups and downs over the years since my mom and dad began the business in 1987. So with that comes some scars, some battle scars, so a few war stories here and there. I think it's the first story that comes to mind for me is probably when we first started getting going. My dad was a part of a bigger company that did plastic injection molding, so that's our kind of the core business that we got here. And he's decided to go out on his own and start his own business to build something for the Goldenberg family. So we had a very important family meeting at the State Line Diner where all important Goldenberg family meetings and decisions are made. And the opportunity was to start a new business. And so we started Polymer Technologies in 1987. And it was a challenge. The focus of the company where he was prior was musical toys for kids, which was low end. My dad recognized that those types of work, that type of production wasn't going to be taking place in the U.S. for much longer. And sure enough, it would be going to Mexico, then ultimately Southeast Asia. His focus was more on the military side, the high value added materials and applications. So with that in mind, we went down this road. We took out a massive loan from the bank for the second mortgage on the home. And things were going great for a little while until, as you might recall, Cold War ended. And this is around the time that we were just, a lot of these big balloon payments were coming due. So we found ourselves in a pretty cash-strapped position.
Understand.
Sorry.
Understood. And how did you look at it? Like, holy cow, all of that's coming. Your business environment is changing. And then you have some financial downward pressure on the business. How did you manage through that?
Sure. And to keep in perspective, I was a high school student at the time, this beginning in the 80s. So listening to my mom and dad at the dinner table really try to have an open conversation with us to manage my sister and ours expectations about the change in our lifestyle, the change in things, where we were going to school. I was going to a prep school at the time, and we were taking various vacations and all that. As a father now, looking back on that, I have a lot of respect for what they went through. How do you thread that needle between being open and honest, but also trying to protect your kids? So there was some belt tightening that it had to happen out of necessity. And there were times that on my answering machine, where I had my own phone line, my own answering machine, there were the banks for calling, leaving messages for my parents, trying to get a hold of them because they were missing payments on the loan. And these were, those were certainly challenging times. And again, given the benefit of perspective, that's obviously a lot of pressure, as many entrepreneurs have probably felt.
Yeah. So what did your father feel like he had to change in order to relieve that pressure or move through to get to the other side or relieve that pressure, so to speak?
Not being in his head, I could say that I know that he was a rock. He was able to really maintain, and that was one of his many gifts. By way of background, he passed in 2015, but I did have the benefit of working with him for almost 2 decades, which was wonderful. He was very good at internalizing, compartmentalizing, He
Yeah.
made some hard decisions. He brought in a very aggressive, as it turned out to be, I wouldn't know what to call it. We were big enough to have him be considered an activist investor, but he took out some loans at some incredibly high interest rates from some people that would turn out to be a bit of bad actors. And one of my success stories was being able to get rid of them, and I'm happy to share about that down the road. But in doing so, he was able to get the funding he needed to keep the banks at bay. And he started to really look around and see what other opportunities, what other businesses could he start to participate in. And he got a lead for a company that did medical. We were focused largely on military side, and he's like, hey, what are we good at? Right? What are our strengths? Our strengths are high performance materials, aggressive environments. We're not making mop handles and flower pots and forks and spoons and knives. So what are the other industries other than military that can draw upon and are willing to pay more for that? And medical surgical was the opportunity that he identified. And so there's a company not far from us in New Jersey. He solicited them and just basically cold called them. And timing worked out well that they had a opportunity where the molder, the plastic molder they were working with, wasn't giving them what they were looking for. So he invited them as part of the process to come and see the facility. The problem was that the place was a ghost town. I mean, we had these molding machines, and they weren't running any jobs. And so the decision, to their credit, is they got very creative. So recognizing that they wanted to appear busy, because who wants to give work? Because investments in some of these injection molds can be in the upwards of hundreds of thousands of dollars. They might do this in the 80s and the 90s. So what the plan was that I would drive to my friends and I would come to the factory. My sister and her friends would come to the factory and all take our own cars. We'd park in the parking lot there, and we'd go in. And when the visitors from Becton Dickinson, can I say that name? Yeah, I mean, they're quiet. I haven't lost them yet. So Becton Dickinson came in, and they saw a full bustling parking lot of full of people and cars, and they came into the facility. And we had a meeting, and my friends and I put on goggles and work clothes, and we were over on the molding machines, and we turned them on. We were making parts that we ultimately wound up throwing away. And then they took them on the tour. They went back to the conference room, and they had their meeting, and they wanted to see the area where they were going to be assembling a lot of these components, these trays. And my friends and I did a wardrobe change, and we changed our clothes, and we put on like these smocks and went to the assembly area. So that looked like a vibrant, bustling area full of activity and all. And Michael,
that's great. Do you and your friends still talk about that and the day that you guys made happen? That's a great story.
I probably should reach out to a couple of them and say, hey, remember that time in high school when you guys did me a solid? It's like I heard John Travolta for helping when Quentin Tarantino cast him in Pulp Fiction. He kind of got his career back on track. I should probably thank my friends similarly.
There you go. That's awesome. So it sounds like one of the things is, hey, you guys took a look and said, hey, we really want to take a step back and understand our strategy. And your father said, hey, here's what we're good at, and this is what we're really strong at. And then take it and say, hey, where else can we apply it? What else do you think you guys learned to successfully manage in changing your strategy during that crisis?
Well, that's a great question. I think it's also important to recognize that the market's going to change, competition's going to change, and so where our niche, which I don't want to pigeonhole us, but what we were really good at was the high performance engineered components for these are very expensive materials that if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to lose your profit very, very quickly. We really bring in lots of other really smart people, and when we had the funds to do so, the good thing that having benefit really looking back at now is a lot of the people that work well here, that have been here for a very long time, is they just love what they do. They love, I hope that people don't take offense, they love nerding out on materials and coming up with new creative ways of doing it. That's the draw for them and why they want to work here, because we do so much cool stuff with really cool applications. So it's not so much about the paycheck and are they looking to do something else, or are they looking to get more money somewhere else? There's just not a lot of folks doing what we do. And we look for people that have the connection to the clients that we have. What we do, when we do our job right, the pilot goes home to their family. The mission is accomplished. That we give the people that keep us safe at night in the military what they need to do their job. And there isn't a person here that isn't very, very aware of what it is that we do and the importance of what we do. I have meetings, we have town halls, we have I do a Gemba walk where we explain to people what it is that we do. One of our big product lines is air countermeasures. So if a missile is fired at a helicopter or a jet, you fire a flare, which is heat-seeking decoy to fool as a countermeasure to the heat-seeking missile or radar lock missile you fire trap. So also clips from Top Gun 2, Maverick, where they're showing the flares and they're showing like that's what we do because it's sort of we don't know how to do sometimes. Like that's what I do, right? We make aircraft countermeasures stuff. So people know that and they connect to it. They know that when they have a part, why do they remove this piece of flash here? Because the end cap doesn't seal. Well, if the end cap doesn't seal, moisture gets in. Moisture gets in, flare doesn't go off. Missile hits the pilot. Missile hits the flare.
Yeah.
So getting that kind of a connection, I think, is important. And having that connection to the business, I think, is important as well. And to understand us as a family, you had mentioned earlier about leadership and having in a time of crisis, how does leadership continue to do what they need to do, if I may, right? That's something.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Neal.
You're under a microscope. Really, you're in the factory. People are looking at you. They know if things are not going well. We had a rough patch in 2007, as many people did, more so in 2008. We're kind of an early indicator of that, where spending starts drying up, when things start to go to new tool orders start to really slag. We're a bit of an early indicator in that regard. And I remembered from a class I'd taken years ago that they're just one of those anecdotes. I think it was the CEO of Motorola, and this was probably going back to the 80s. And he was late for, I'm sorry, I've got ahead of myself here. The stock tanked for some reason. They couldn't, for no discernible why, they couldn't figure out what was going on. Productivity went down and there was problems. They couldn't figure out what it was. When they really peeled back the layers of the onion, what had happened was the CEO was on site at this facility and he was late for a meeting and the driver got lost, put him at the wrong end of the building. And he had to hustle from one end of the building to the other end of the building. And all the workers saw was their CEO running ostensibly through the factory, and the rumors and everyone was like, what's going on? We're going to get sold. We're going under. And of course it was just, he was late for a meeting and the driver didn't know where it was going. But I took that to heart. And I guess this is kind of an extension of what I said earlier about my dad being a rock. It's just, what's the old deodorant commercial? Never let him see you sweat.
Yeah. You're the calm in the middle of the storm. And I guess that's one of the things. It sounds like, as you have had that, and different things have come across you in the business. How do you maintain that calm in the middle of the storm, so to speak?
That is a great question. Also, it is important to remember that I'm playing a long game. I don't have outside investors. I'm very, fortunate that I'm not a CEO that has a publicly traded stock. I'm always thinking long term. That's how my dad beat it into my brain. So knowing that I'm not beholden to some earnings per share quarterly call that I need to have is I think helpful. And I have an amazing team. I have a team that's invested, and they really care. And there were some times early on, as I mentioned, during the really tough period when the Cold War ended, and we also lost a very large client at the same time. My parents were getting the calls to the bank. We had my dad's right hand man. His name was Howard. He came in one day, and my parents, we weren't taking payroll. We had to keep plumbing. His right hand man came in with a check for $10,000 and just laid it on the table. So he was a lawyer. It was, to this day, and he was my mentor. And Howard was this incredible man. Who I owe a phone call to. So thank you for having me think about him.
Oh,
Yeah.
hey, and you know what? That's the biggest challenge. I don't know if you see it, right? It's, as you're working hard in business, how do you maintain those great relationships to really build that network? Because it sounds, Neal, like you have a great team, and it sounds like maybe one of the keys to your secret sauce is getting that great team together and then allowing them to do some really cool things. So how do you stay in and continue to develop that relationship with those people on your team, like Howard?
I try and be accessible. People know that they can come to me with any. I like to think they can come to me with anything. We've
Yeah.
got town halls that, as I mentioned, every quarter, and we have this AMA, Ask Me Anything. People can submit questions beforehand. People can ask questions then and there. Appreciating that there's about 100 people, and about half of those English is not their first language. We have translators. And I like to think I
Okay.
created an environment that they're comfortable asking these types of questions. And since a lot of it is anonymous, I'll announce what the question is, and then I'll answer it. And we have 3 shifts, so I do the same town hall 3 times a day,
Wow.
as part of that, that quarterly town hall. And since I don't know who answered the question, I'm kind of beholden to being honest and consistent, because I have to say and answer the same thing 3 times, because I don't know if that person who asked the questions in that room or not.
Cool.
And I think that is that accessibility is important. So you don't feel like there's the ivory tower and the decisions that are being made there without outside the scope of work. People realize that they're going to be affected by these things, and the level of transparency, I think, is when things are tight, we'll let people know. We'll obviously we'll make sure the messaging is appropriate, and when
Absolutely.
things are good, we celebrate it. We celebrate it as a team. We celebrate it as it occurs, or as needed, whether it's our anniversary party, which is August. So we'll be celebrating 35 years of business this year. Or
Oh,
our holiday party.
congratulations. That's awesome.
That's crazy. 8787. That was my mom's idea. August 7th, 1987.
Oh, very cool. You begin to think of yourself like, wait, 35 years, where did they go? And you have a lot of great learnings. So one of the things I think it's always interesting in leadership is, and you touched on a little bit, is how you evolve the business, how you might have migrated your strategies. Do you have a story that you can share with us on, like, hey, this is how I see us evolve and what we learned and have kept into place today?
I think it goes back to really looking around, not to be certainly not to be content, not to sit back and be fat and happy, because the dynamics of industry and world events and manufacturing as a technology is it evolves very, very quickly. The most disruptive thing now is probably additive manufacturing, or 3D printing, as you're probably aware. It is basically decimated certain industries. If you machine plastic parts or you machine metal parts in small volume, you're kind of going to go the way of the buggy whip. So people are worried about injection molding going the same route, and I see it as complementary. I don't see it as being replacing that. So being abreast of that technology, and I found a partner who is in the 3D printing business, and we set up a partnership. He has a sales office here. He sells 3D printers. And I don't charge him rent, and I have the benefit of having access to the latest and greatest in 3D printing out of manufacturing for metals and plastics and composites. So he uses it as a sales office, and I knew that I needed to know what was going on, because I could not stick my head in the
Yeah.
sand and hope that it wasn't going to happen, or believe that, well, it's just be an echo chamber where, well, it'll never compete with us economically, because you never say never. What was an added benefit is he's using this as a sales office, and he's got a steady stream of prospective clients coming in, and he can show, or we show, how that 3D printing is used in our facility for end of arm tooling, for quick turn prototype tools. And if their volumes grow to be that beyond that of what the 3D printing printer is able of doing, well, hey, we've got this injection molding facility here that can help you meet your product requirement needs.
Yeah. But you know what? I admire that, Neal, because the thing is you evolved, right? Like, hey, you probably, or your dad might have said, like, I don't know if I would bring someone in like that to have a sales office there, but it keeps you abreast on the cutting edge of where technology is going. It also allows your partner access to additional customers. That's going to allow him to learn from them. So I really see it as an interesting evolution. Is there other areas that you've applied, like different strategies like that are like unique and out of the box and thingy?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind, and I don't know if you would consider it out of the box, but a critical part of what we do are those big, expensive injection molds that I had mentioned earlier. So this is more from the page of a vertical integration standpoint. We had found ourselves in a situation, it was probably about maybe 11, 12 years ago, where a client of ours had contacted me, and the way the tools are set up is they make one particular part, call it revision A. And our client at General Dynamics had called me and said, "Hey, Neal, I need a favor. Government's making a change. I need this tool that you built for me at revision B. And I just need it to happen as quickly as possible because I've got a whole production line down. I need you." And I'm like, "You got it. I'm on it. I'll call you back." So I call up the tool shop that had designed and built the tool. And just as kind of a little bit of insight is these tools, as I said, are very, they're expensive. They take a long time to build, and it's an art and it's science. So there's a lot of craftsmanship that goes into this. So you want the person who designed and built the tool originally working on this. And if at all possible, this is the person you want making these types of important changes. They understand because they design. It's their baby. And so I called up our tool shop, Joey. I said, "Hey, I need a favor. I don't care what it costs. I need this tool. I need this to be modified. Do what you have to do, and we'll figure out later what I owe you. But I need to help my client out." And he says, "Yeah, I'd love to help you, but it's deer season. I'm in Western Pennsylvania. All my tool makers are in their tree stands." I'm like, "Well, how long?" He's like, 2 weeks. So I went down the hall with my dad to his office where I'm actually sitting now. And I said, "Dad, we can't live like this. This is too critical of the value proposition that we bring to our clients to be not beholden, but like we can't not be able to respond because of things that are completely outside our influence of control." So we searched around and there were a few different candidate shops that we were considering. And it turned out one of our biggest tool shops was available. And I say available, it was a conversation with the owner who was getting towards retirement. And we had a conversation, what are you able to do? What are your next steps? And we worked out a wonderful situation where we moved his facility into our facility. He was able to work the kinds of hours that he wanted. He was able to train his replacement, and he had some beautiful equipment. But more important than anything else, and I'll try not to get on my soapbox here, Michael, is he had these tool makers, these experienced, seasoned machinist tool makers that sadly I feel in this country is a dying art. It is not anywhere near as prevalent of a career path as I think it should be, as it used to be. And we are, as a nation, as a manufacturing infrastructure base, we're going to suffer. We have outsourced so much to other countries that we have lost that ingenuity and that capability is so critical for manufacturers. So I'm proud of the apprenticeship program that we've begun. We've got these brilliant tool makers that are sadly getting older, and they have so much of this wisdom, and I need them to impart it to that next generation. So we take tours. We offer tours rather of some of the nearby technical schools, and we see this is a career path for you, and you can make like 6 figures working here, understanding how this how this milling machine works, and you work with your hands, and it's an honest day's work, and not to say that other obviously industries and other career paths aren't. But people just didn't know. They didn't realize. They were unaware. So I'm very proud of that apprenticeship program that we've had, and I'm hopeful that this is something that other companies and as our government will recognize that and put some money into building up that infrastructure, that base.
No, I think that's great, and congratulations. How did you when you partnered with this apprenticeship program? What were some of the strategies? How have you gotten people to come to work for you full time through that apprenticeship program? And I'm sure you only have so many spots, so you're probably training people who go on to other places, other companies to work. So how does the apprenticeship program work? And what's the benefits that you and your company have seen from that?
Well, I mean, you bring up a good point. How do we attract these prospective candidates when these voting schools, the local, let's say, by Stryker Orthopedics and BAE Systems probably grabbed all of the best candidates, the highest performing of the people graduating from the apprenticeship or from the OTech school programs. I think it's similar to the people who we've been successful and the talent we have on the engineering side here. We do really cool stuff. These people believe what we believe, that we do really cool, important stuff. and we have a lot of fun doing it. We
Yeah.
have some really, state of the art machines that there was I can't really call him a kid, but I think he's probably in his 20s, Alex, who he's running a $450,000 milling machine, and we just basically giving the keys to a new Ferrari to a guy. He loves this kind of stuff. We find people that love doing what we love, and the kinds of things we do here resonate with them. Offering a bevy of different technologies that we're not just a machine shop, we're not just an injection molder, we're not just an additive manufacturer, we're not just an engineering company. We're the amalgam of all of those things coming together to make successful products that have meaning,
Yeah.
that have an impact. I went to business school with a lot of guys, and God bless them for the houses they live in and the cars that they drive.
Hey,
They look at they look at spreadsheets all day. And I love that I can walk out my door to a factory that is bustling, thankfully,
congratulations.
making parts that really have an impact on the people and the lives that use them.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it when you said earlier, like you're the one who's going out there, you're developing a product that's helping make sure that when our pilots go out, part of that mission is that they come home safe. And so what the thing is that's a great thing to do. One of the things that is resonating back, Neil, is your culture. It sounds like you have developed a culture over the 35 years you guys have been in business, where you really know who fits in that culture and have set a process and system in place to help them kind of be a part of it, grow themselves, but then also be a contributor back to the team when they're doing that. So do you feel that, hey, our culture is strong and this is really where it is and it's helping us in this process really understand who to attract and who to bring on to our team? Because at the end of the day, like you said, there are going to be the strikers out there and they have unlimited resources and you know yeah we're not going to win a bidding war with those types of people, but that's not who we want to win one with.
Correct. Yeah, we are not going to be able to compete with Stryker and BAE for their benefits package. I think what we
Yeah.
offer it's a different path. It's a different course. It's people are given, I think, as evidenced by Alex and the keys to the Ferrari, an opportunity to
Yeah.
really get involved and not be digital and have a lot of autonomy. If you have ideas, people know that Neal's going to say yes. Neal's going to say, why are we doing this? How much is it going to cost? And I don't know if I've ever said no. Let's try it. Let's do some stuff, right? Let's break it,
Yeah,
as they
yeah.
say. As far as our culture goes, I think I'll sum up the whole word feedback. Feedback is I think we do a good job of telling people about the job that they're doing. And I think we do a good job of listening to people telling us about the kind of job that we're doing as management, whether it's the town hall that I discussed. We have a pulse, GTI pulse survey that we do that's anonymous that goes out on people's
Yeah.
phones, and they can give us feedback, both objectively on a scale of 1 to 10. How do you feel that we're doing as far as listening to you? How do you feel we're doing with how is our compensation? How is the safety in the facility? And then there's also an opportunity to give some specific feedback. Well, or is there some area that you would like us to focus more? Is everything safe? Or is there anything you need? And
Yeah.
people knowing that there is that channel, that their voice is heard, and all of this gets discussed in the town hall. Some of the stuff I'll be honest with you, Michael, I don't really understand. But people think perception reality. If they think it's important, then it has to be important to us.
Yeah, and I appreciate the honesty in saying, hey, that's a challenge. I don't know how to answer that question, but I know it's a challenge that I'm going to work to. And that gets to a great point. I mean, you talked about a lot that gets there. And obviously, we live in uncertain times. It seems like every time we turn on the news or, the next day starts, there's another set of challenges coming down the pike. So, what do you see, Neil, as, some potential challenges or issues that may be coming towards you and your company and your team in the near and not too distant future?
Sure. There are a lot of world events, as we're all aware of, that certainly affect military spending. And right now, we are seeing that will continue in a trend. And I think it can be a little misleading. People are like, oh, Neal, you're in the military. You must be doing really well. Well, military is a goodness, it's a $700 billion budget, almost approaching a
Yeah.
billion. So for 2024, so with that comes a lots of how that money gets distributed. We are close enough. I know we have a bit of our niche. The people we're kind of the go-to. We're very close to Picatinny Arsenal. They're actually here on site today. I just did a tour before I joined you. Taking them
Oh,
through for a first article. It's another opportunity to show them the facility. And there's some people in the room invariably that haven't been here before, haven't been. They didn't know what it is that we did, weren't exposed to it. So it's always a great marketing tool, the opportunity. So they know that we're right here. We're close to you, and we know what your end mission is. We have the same client, the warfighter, and
yeah.
so letting them know what we're capable of doing is always helpful. That said, diversity is important. Change. We've seen the rise and the fall. Defense spending. There was times where there was BRAC, base relocation and closing. This is in the 80s and the 90s. We're like, oh, we don't need a military anymore. We don't need a strong. And in hindsight, it seems somewhat laughable, but but there, those things do ebb and flow. And I remember early on, I had a mentor, Howard, who is taught the importance of having diversified clients and not having all your eggs in one basket. And one of the things he said with me, stuck with me, was when if you don't have if you don't have a diversity amongst your clients, if you have only one or two big ones, when they get a cold, we're going to get pneumonia. We can't be in a position where we are so concentrated with them, and as attractive it might be to take on more and more work, we have to really remember that for one particular client, we have to realize that is something that's very real. So both at the specific to PTI level, as far as challenges, is making sure I don't have all the eggs in one basket. And well, if you are on the edge of technology and innovation, you'll find that there are lots of industries that are welcoming of what you do. And my dad used to say, price, delivery, or quality. Pick two. We're not the cheap. Don't pick. So getting in front of the people that recognize or to be blunt, I'm willing to pick to that.
Yeah, they value it. They value what you guys are about, and being able to define that and have that niche. So it sounds like you're doing some great things to keep yourself resilient. You diversified your customer base. You diversified where your targets are at. You diversified your workforce to allow you to get new people coming in, even though you're highly trained. Is there anything else, Neal, like say from a financial standpoint, that you need to take a look at in the world of rising interest rates and changing government philosophy from a financial standpoint that you have to take a look at?
I always remember from business school that statistically speaking, when a company goes out of business, it's typically, I believe it's the first 2 years, the attrition rate is the highest first 2 years, and then the year following a record year. That is when companies that go out of business, invariably, those are statistically proven for when that happens. So I always think about that. And we had a very strong few years, and I remember that things don't always last forever. And you always make sure you got your dry powder as needed. I mean, we came very, very close in 2007 as many businesses of going under.
Oh, yeah.
We had we had Black Friday here. We laid off half the company in one day, my dad and I, and we sat in this office. They took out a bottle of scotch and said, never again. We can never go through something like that because these people are failing. It's a family business, and it was the hardest thing to do, to sit in a room. I mean, because we went from over 100 people down to 50, and it's hard. And I think about that, and I take those battle stars, as it were, with me, and so when people tell me that there's a lot of people in the market and financial services that have never seen a bear market before. All they know is that the market goes up, and so given that long view and that perspective, is just don't get overextended, because you never want to go through that again. And overextended business wise and personally, as a family business, at any given work, we run 24 hours a day. At any given time, people are they're making you money or losing you money. So not letting it get you too down, because you get you get kicked in your teeth a lot as an entrepreneur and as a small business, and pulling yourself up by those bootstraps and being able to separate that, which is hard to do. You take that with you. It's so part of who your identity is. And I found other ways. I work with other entrepreneurs. I'm in EO, which is an entrepreneurship position group, which has been fantastic, talking to other like-minded people. And it's really amazing how the DNA that makes a business successful is completely not dependent on really your industry. There's certain basics that, when done well, will invariably yield a successful business. Whether you're in manufacturing, real estate, whether you have a chain of tanning salons, a prom dress company, whatever it is, there's those basics. So talking to other people, and it gives you some outside perspective, which I think is really helpful. They've taught me about the importance of physical health to help relate to your mental health. I did my first half Ironman last year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Training for it and executing on it. Just like that, it's like a game plan for your business as well. This is sticking to it, having that discipline, having that diligence, and then feeling that seeing it pay off is such a fantastic feeling. But it also helps build up your resilience, as it were.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I do believe that your physical, mental, spiritual balance is so critical to bring to what you bring and the perspective you bring to helping others get through some of those times of challenge, for sure. Neal, it's been a great conversation. I just want to throw one thing back to you. Is there a question that I should have asked you that I did not today?
I think you did a really, really great job of digging and poking and thought. And I was honestly, I shared some stuff today that I don't know that really hadn't thought about the fact that there are lots of people who could be reading this or hearing this and seeing this. But I think the more open you can get, and I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier, the more open you are, the more you can, and you being vulnerable, you can learn and grow from that. So I hope that people heard something today that might have been helpful to them. I can say that when you take the long view on things, and you look back, the things that seemed so devastating and so hard at the time was in the rearview mirror. The windshield's this big, and your rearview mirror is this big for a reason. It's okay to glance, just don't stare. And I guess I'll end with a good mentor of mine saying, "Tough times don't last, but tough people do."
Dude, absolutely heard that before, and that's so true. Neal, thank you very much. I appreciate you sharing your story, and hopefully we can share this with others so that they can learn from it and continue on their journey to success.
All right, it's a real pleasure. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Neal.